All right, so you know that feeling, right, when you're trying to like wrap your brain around something totally new.
Yeah.
You want to know like all the nitty-gritty details, but without, cracking open a textbook and getting like totally bogged down.
Yeah, totally. And today, I think we're going to try to do exactly that as we go on this deep dive into verb tenses.
It's like one of those essential skills in English, and today we're going to try to make it painless.
Yeah. And verb tenses, they're kind of like the hidden heroes of how we talk to each other.
Mhm.
They let us pinpoint when things happen,
Right.
whether it's like happening right now or it already happened or like way off in the future and the
Mhm.
sources we've been looking at. They give us a really cool toolkit to explore all this stuff.
Okay, so I like that idea of a toolkit.
Yeah.
So it's like with verb tenses, we're choosing like the right setting on a camera, right? Each one sort of like captures a different moment and it gives us like a clearer picture, of the whole scene.
Yeah, it's all about like putting our actions on that timeline. And what's really interesting is like, choosing one tense over another.
Right.
It's not just about getting the grammar right.
Right.
It actually changes how we and the people listening to us see those events.
Right.
So our mission today in this deep dive is to dig into those three main time zones: the present, the past, and the future.
Yeah.
And like all the little shades of meaning inside each one. And we'll see how these tools, they don't just tell us when something happens,
Right.
but also like how it happens.
Yeah. Okay, so let's like open up this toolkit and we'll start with the present tense family.
Good place to start.
Yeah. So present tense is all about like what's going on now or truths that are like always true. Like something super basic would be I play soccer.
Yeah, and like any good toolkit, there are different types of the present tense for different jobs.
Okay.
So first off, we've got the simple present.
Simple present.
This is our everyday workhorse for talking about habits and facts.
Okay, so it's like I brush my teeth every morning. That's a good habit, hopefully we all have. Or the sun rises in the east.
Yeah,
True. Always true.
that one's not going to change.
Not for a while, at least, yeah.
Yeah, and with the simple present, we use the base form of the verb nice and simple.
Okay.
Now, one little thing to remember here with he, she, and it,
He, she, it.
we usually tack on an is or is
Okay.
to the end of the verb.
So it's I eat, but she eats.
You got it.
It's a tiny change, but it makes a big difference.
Huge difference for being clear.
I also noticed from the stuff we've been reading that there are some like common time adverbs that just seem to go hand in hand with the simple present.
Yeah, like what?
Like always, often, usually, sometimes, never.
Right. They give us that sense of how frequently something happens.
Like painting a picture with words.
They really do.
Yeah.
It's also interesting that the simple present can sometimes stand in for the near future,
Oh.
especially for things that are like planned or on a schedule.
Oh, so it can like jump a little bit ahead?
A little bit, yeah. So you might say like, the train leaves at 6 p.m. tomorrow.
Right. So it's not stuck in the present all the time?
Nope.
Okay, cool. So moving on to the next tool in our present tense kit, we've got the present continuous.
So this one's all about action happening right this second.
Okay.
Like something is in progress.
Okay.
It's like taking a photo of an activity as it's unfolding.
Okay, so I am reading a book,
Perfect.
which I might be doing
Maybe
right now.
at this very moment.
Or the birds are singing, or my neighbor is playing video games, maybe a little too loudly.
Right on. And to build the present continuous, we use am, is, or are.
Okay.
And then we add that ing to the main verb, that am, is, or are. That's the auxiliary verb, and it has to match the subject of our sentence.
Right, so I am, he shite is, and way you they are. Okay. I see here that the present continuous can also be used to describe those like temporary actions that are happening around now.
Yeah, like what?
Like my mom is working from home this week.
Exactly. So it's like a current situation, but it might not be happening at this exact second.
Right.
And it could even point to future plans that are pretty much set in stone.
Oh, okay.
Like I am visiting my grandma tomorrow. It's like those plans are already rolling.
So it's flexible.
Very flexible tense.
The sources also talk about some common time words that go with this tense, like now, at the moment, today, this week.
Yeah, all those help us to ground the action in the present.
Okay, so if we're going back to our camera analogy,
Yeah.
the simple present is kind of like that wide shot,
Yeah.
capturing the whole scene, and the present continuous is more like zooming in
You got it.
on the action happening.
Love it.
Okay, cool. So next up in our present tense toolkit, we have the present perfect.
This one's a bit of a trickster.
This is the one that's always felt a bit like it's got a foot in both the past and the present.
You're right. It kind of bridges the gap between the two.
Okay.
So we use it for actions that happen sometime before now, but still have some relevance in the present. Or for actions that started in the past and are still going on right now.
Okay, so I'm starting to see that bridge.
Go.
So if I say I have visited Paris, that means it happened sometime before now, but it's still part of my life experience.
Right. It shaped who you are today.
Right.
And to form the present perfect, we use has or have plus the past participle of the verb.
Right.
Now remember, has is for he, she, it.
Right.
And have is for I, you, we, they.
Got it.
So another example would be, she has lived here for 5 years.
Okay.
That clearly started in the past and is still going on in the present.
Right.
And how about they have just finished their homework?
So that means it's done and now they've got free time.
Exactly. And see how the present perfect kind of brings a sense of immediacy or a connection to what's happening now.
Yeah.
And that's a bit different from the simple past, which often feels more like it's over and done with.
Right.
And some of the usual time words you'll spot with the present perfect are ever, never, already, yet, since, and for.
Okay, so those are good hints
Yes.
that we're dealing with the present perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, so last but not least, in our present tense family, we have the present perfect continuous.
Hold on to your hats. This one's a mouthful.
This one always sounds so complicated.
It sounds worse than it is.
I hope so.
So the present perfect continuous is all about actions that started in the past and are still going strong, or maybe they just wrapped up, but we can still see the results in the present.
Okay.
And the real key here is the emphasis on how long the activity has been going on.
Okay, so it's not just that something happened,
Right.
but for how long?
Exactly.
Okay, so how do we build this one?
So we start with has or have.
Okay.
Then we add been, and then the verb with that ing on the end.
Okay, so for example, I have been studying for 2 hours.
Perfect example. And that shows how long your study session has been. And it hints that it might still be going, or maybe you just stopped.
Right.
How about she has been living here since 2010?
Right, so that emphasizes the length of time that she's been living there.
You got it.
What about it has been raining?
Okay, and what's the result of all that rain?
The ground is wet.
Yeah, so that one probably just finished. But we see the wet ground as a result.
Okay.
And what's really cool about this tense is that it makes us pay attention to the process. Like how much time went into this activity that is connected to right now.
Right.
And just like with the regular present perfect, we use has been for he, she, and it, and have been for I, you, we, and they.
Got it.
And just like you said, those time words since and for, they love to hang out with this tense.
Right.
Because they're all about duration.
Okay, so I think we've officially covered the present tense family.
I think so.
It's time to travel back in time.
Let's do it.
To the past.
The past tense, just as you'd guess, is for talking about things that are finished and done.
Okay.
It's what we use to tell stories and share experiences.
So first up, in our past tense toolkit, we've got the simple past.
That's our starting point.
This seems like the most straightforward way to talk about things that have already happened.
It is. It really is. The simple past is for actions that happened at a specific time in the past.
Okay.
It's the backbone of storytelling.
Okay, so some examples would be, I played in the park yesterday, or she watched a movie last night, or they went to the zoo on Saturday.
Perfect examples. Each one of those paints a clear picture of a finished event with a specific time frame.
Okay.
And for most verbs, we make the simple past by just adding ed to the base form of the verb.
Simple enough.
Nice and straightforward.
Right.
But of course, English wouldn't be English without some exceptions.
Right.
We've got those irregular verbs.
Oh, the irregular verbs.
That have their own special past tense forms that you just have to learn.
Like go turns into went.
Yeah.
And eat becomes ate.
Exactly. They like to break the rules.
Yeah, they do.
And we often see the simple past hanging out with those specific time markers like yesterday, last week, a month ago, or specific years like in 2023.
Right. All of those anchor the action in the past.
Exactly.
Okay.
The simple past is our main tool for telling stories about things that had a beginning and an end in the past.
Okay, so now let's talk about the past continuous.
All right. So this one's all about setting the scene.
Yeah.
Describing actions that were in progress at a certain moment in the past.
So we're not just saying that something happened. We're saying it was happening as something else was happening.
Precisely. The past continuous shows that an action was unfolding at a specific time.
Okay.
To make it, we use was or were,
Okay.
plus the verb with that ing again.
You okay?
So think about, I was watching TV when you called.
Right. So that sets the scene of
Yeah.
what I was doing before I got interrupted.
Exactly. Or they were playing in the park all afternoon.
Right. That describes a longer activity in the past.
You got it. And remember, we use was for I, he, she, and it.
Okay.
And were for you, we, and they.
Okay.
And you'll notice this tense often overlaps with another past action.
Right.
Like in your first example.
Uh-huh.
And it uses those time words while and when.
Right. So it helps us show two things happening at the same time in the past.
Or an action that gets interrupted by another action.
Yeah, it's like taking a video clip of a moment in the past.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes sense.
Good.
Now, what about the past perfect?
Ooh. This one takes us a step further back in time.
It always feels a bit like we're going deeper into the past.
That's a good way to think of it.
Yeah.
So the past perfect is used when we want to talk about an action that was finished before something else happened in the past.
Okay.
It helps us to lay out those past events in order.
So it's about making that timeline crystal clear.
Exactly.
Okay, so if I say I had eaten breakfast before I went to school,
Mm-hmm.
that shows eating breakfast came first.
Exactly. You're a champion breakfast eater.
I try.
So the structure here is had plus the past participle of the verb.
Okay.
And that had stays the same no matter who's doing the action.
They had already left when we arrived.
Another great example, their leaving happened before your arrival.
Okay, and it seems like those words before, after, by the time, and already often signal that we're using the past perfect.
They do. They're like little clues.
It's like adding this extra layer of history to our past tense story.
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
This tense is super helpful when you're trying to explain multiple events that all happened in the past, but not at the same time.
Right. Okay, so our final stop on this journey through the past is the past perfect continuous.
This one often trips people up.
Deep breaths, everyone. Deep breaths.
Yeah, take a deep breath.
We can do this.
So the past perfect continuous is all about an action that had been going on for some time before another action in the past popped up.
Okay.
It really stresses how long that first activity lasted.
Okay, so we're layering time here.
We are.
It's like I had been waiting for an hour before the bus finally arrived.
Perfect example.
Really emphasizing how long that wait was.
And the structure for this one is had been plus the verb with that ing ending again.
Right. Had been stays the same for every subject. She had been working at the company for 5 years when she got promoted.
That's a good one. It really highlights those years of hard work before that promotion came along.
Right.
So this tense is often used to give some background information or to explain what led up to a past event by showing that something had been happening for a while.
Okay, I think we've made it through the past.
Successfully navigated the past.
We did it. So now let's set our sights on the future.
To the future.
Yeah, the future tense is how we talk about things that haven't happened yet.
It's the land of plans and predictions and possibilities.
So let's start with the simple future.
Our basic future tense.
Yeah, the simple future is for actions that will happen in the future. And we usually make it with will plus the base form of the verb.
Easy peasy.
But we also use be going to quite a bit too.
Yeah, so you could say, I will go to the park tomorrow.
Right.
Or she will visit her grandparents next week.
Okay.
Or they're going to have a party.
Right.
Now, sometimes will can sound like a more spontaneous decision. Or a general prediction, whereas going to often implies a plan that's already in place.
Okay. That's a good distinction.
It's a subtle difference, but it's there.
And some common time words that signal the simple future are like tomorrow, next week, in 2 days, and the less specific someday.
Right.
Okay, so moving on to the future continuous.
Another fun one.
So this one is used for actions that will be in progress at a specific time in the future.
Exactly. It's like setting a scene in the future.
Okay.
And the formula is will be plus that ing verb again.
So it's I will be studying at 7 p.m. tomorrow.
There you go. That paints a nice picture of your evening.
Yeah, or they will be playing football when we arrive.
Right. So you're describing what will be happening when you get there.
Okay.
This tense often uses those specific future time expressions to tell us exactly when the action will be going down.
Okay, so now for the future perfect.
This one's about accomplishment.
Okay.
The future perfect is for actions that will be finished by a certain point in the future.
Okay, so it's like looking ahead to a deadline.
Exactly.
And saying that something will be done by then.
You got it.
So I will have finished my book by next week.
That's your reading goal?
It is.
Or how about they will have arrived before dinner?
Okay, so that tells us when they'll get there.
Right. And the structure here is will have plus the past participle of the verb.
Right.
And you'll often see it used with time expressions like by next week or before dinner.
All right. And the final tense in our future lineup is the future perfect continuous.
The grand finale.
Take another deep breath.
Yeah, everyone take a deep breath. This is the big one.
We're almost there.
So the future perfect continuous this is used for actions that will have been happening for a length of time leading up to a specific moment in the future.
Okay.
It really emphasizes how long an activity would have been going on before that future point arrives.
Okay, so it combines that idea of finishing something by a specific time, but also how long it'll have been going on.
Exactly.
Like by next year, I will have been studying English for 3 years.
A true dedication to language learning.
I'm trying.
And the structure for this beast is will have been plus the verb with ing.
Right.
So by the time she finishes her degree, she will have been living in London for 6 years.
Really highlighting that continuous effort over time.
And you'll usually find this tense paired with those by and for time expressions.
Right. At 5 o'clock, I will have been waiting for you for an hour.
Oh no, a whole hour.
Yeah, that really underlines how long I might be waiting.
It does.
Phew, what a journey through all those tenses.
It's quite a workout.
We did it. We made it.
We did, and as we've been talking about all those timed words and phrases,
Yeah.
they're like the signposts on our verb tense journey.
Right.
They give us those essential clues.
Yeah, like those words always and often.
Uh-huh.
They're like waving a big flag saying, hey, this is the simple present.
They are.
Or if we see now or at the moment,
Yeah.
that points us towards the present continuous.
Yeah, exactly.
And then yesterday or last week, they're those classic simple past markers.
Keeping an eye out for those time clues is a great way to stay on track.
Definitely. And let's not forget the difference between those regular verbs,
Right.
which play by the rules and add ed for the past tense.
Uh-huh.
And then we've got those irregular verbs.
Oh, yeah, those rebels.
With their own crazy past tense forms that we just have to memorize. Like go and went, eat and ate.
They definitely make English a bit more challenging.
They do, but we wouldn't have it any other way.
Of course not.
And last but not least, we can't forget about those helping verbs,
Right.
be, have, and will.
They're the best supporting actors.
They are.
They team up with the main verb
Uh-huh.
to form a lot of these different tenses.
Right.
And they add that crucial information about time,
Right.
whether the action's ongoing or finished.
Yeah, like an am reading has eaten and will play.
Exactly.
Mhm.
They really clarify what that main verb's doing.
They do.
And if you want a quick visual recap, the sources we've been using, they've got this awesome verb tense chart.
Oh, perfect.
It lays out all 12 main tenses with their structure and a nice clear example sentence for each.
So it's like the cheat sheet.
Exactly.
Okay, so big picture here.
Yeah.
Why should we care about all these verb tenses?
Mastering verb tenses. This is like the key to unlocking clear communication in English. They let us be precise about when things happen.
Right.
So we avoid misunderstandings, and they add richness and clarity to our stories and explanations.
Yeah, you don't want to accidentally tell your friend that you will finish that project next week
Right.
when you actually finished it last Friday.
Oops.
Yeah, you could really mess things up with the wrong tense.
You could.
So if you pay attention to the tenses that you come across when you're reading and practice using them in your own speaking and writing,
Yeah.
that's going to help you communicate in a way that's accurate and confident.
It really will.
So basically, understanding verb tenses is like a superpower for anyone who wants to speak and write English clearly and effectively.
And as you go out and use English in the wild,
Right.
you'll start to see how those tenses subtly shape the meaning of what people are saying.
Right.
It's a really elegant system once you start to see the patterns.
It is. So that wraps up our deep dive into the amazing world of verb tenses.
I feel like we covered a lot of ground.
We did.
Good workout.
Yeah. And now for a final thought.
Okay, hit me.
So we've been talking about how these different verb tenses really shape how we understand time through language.
Right?
So have you ever thought about how, like, the tenses we choose could actually affect not just how we talk about past and future events, but also how we experience them in our minds?
Whoa.
Like how we connect to those different points in time.
That is something to think about.
It is.
I like that.
Yeah. Food for thought.
Definitely.
All right. Well, thanks for joining me on this deep dive into verb tenses.
Anytime.
It's been fun.
It has.
Until next time.
See ya.